Good morning, everyone. Today, I'm here to talk about something that each of us interact with every single day, but rarely stop to think about until they go terribly wrong. Bowel movements. You got me? Just kidding. Services. In just the last few hours, you might have used a variety of services to get here. Messaging services, transport services, even navigation services. And using these has become so second nature to us that we may not even realize just how integral they are to our daily lives. But what happens when services don't work the way we expect them to? What happens when we aren't able to achieve what we had set out to do? Recently, a friend of mine went on a solo trip to the beautiful city of Vienna. There, he decided to take the metro, and he figured out his route, he bought his tickets, he got on the train, got off at his destination. And just as he was leaving the station, he was stopped by a transport official who asked to see his ticket. He proudly handed it over, only to be fined 105 euros. He was absolutely shocked. The official explained that his ticket wasn't valid because it hadn't been stamped. His ticket had the words, "Please validate," like the one shown over here. And apparently this meant that he needed to have it stamped at a little machine that looked something like this. And this wasn't a one-off incident. There was a long queue of tourists being fined for the exact same reason. Online forums are filled with similar stories warning newcomers visiting Vienna. Approximately 4 million tourists visit Vienna every single year. Even if only 0.5% of them, are fined for not validating their tickets, that's over 2 million euros being charged in fines annually. So many resources being wasted on checking if these tickets are stamped. Let's talk about something more commonplace. What about customer service? Because surely not all of us are going to go to Vienna. Now, each of us over here have used customer service at some point or the other. And a lot of us might think that calling them up or using chatbots is the best way to go about it, and that's what I thought as well. The public sector organization that I was working for, in fact, was way better set up to handle phone calls instead of in-person queries and visits. And they even had clearly stated on their website that people should call or email wherever possible, and despite this, a huge number of customers still walked in through the door. The effect of this was multifaceted. The influx of in-person queries led to an increased workload for front desk staff, while also resulted in operational inefficiencies where resources allocated for phone and email support were underutilized. And this inefficiency, in turn, translated to even longer waiting times for customers and ultimately led to frustration and negative experiences. And so this really got me wondering, why do people still keep coming in then? After doing some digging, I discovered that in certain communities, there is simply a strong culture of showing up. For these individuals, physically going to a location and interacting face-to-face with an employee is believed to result in preferential treatment. But personal anecdotes aside, there is hard evidence to show why this is a real issue. In the UK government, about 80% of the cost of government is spent on services. And what is more surprising, perhaps, is that 60% of the cost of these services is spent on service failure. Phone calls asking government how to do something, or pieces of casework where forms aren't filled in correctly. So then, how do we design services that work? The answer lies in the question. We need to design them. It needs to be a conscious act of intent and deliberation. Many years ago, when I was studying industrial design, I came across this famous designer named Donald Norman. Some of you might have come across his work. And he had adopted and popularized this very interesting concept, this fascinating concept called affordance that really stuck with me. But what exactly is affordance? Let me break it down for you. Imagine a door. A door with a handle suggests that you should pull it, while a flat plate suggests that you should push it. And this is affordance. It's this property of an object that indicates to you how it can be used. It is a way of communicating function through design. Or consider a coat hook. Its shape suggests that you can hang things on it, even if you've never seen that specific hook before. This natural suggestion of use, this intuitive understanding of how to interact with an object, is its affordance, or its perceived affordance. It's basically what it can afford you to do. And in the same way, even a service lends an intuitive understanding of how one might use it. In my earlier example, the act of purchasing a ticket may suggest to a person that the process of getting the ticket is now complete, and now you just need to get on the train. Just like the coat hook or the door handle become a medium of communication that give you a signal or a message on how to interact with it, so does a service and how it is built. I know, you're going to stop me there. You're going to say, but Disha, surely services are way more complex than something as simple as a door handle or a coat hook. Yes, you're absolutely right about that. But get this. Even something as intricate as a metro system can feel intuitive to the right person. Think about German tourists in Vienna, for example. They have no trouble figuring out the metro system. They know exactly what to do. So then, why do some services feel seamless for certain people and confusing for others? The key is in the cues that a service provides, along with a host of other factors that shape how users expect a service to work. Even before using a service, you already have an idea in your mind of how it should function. And I'll refer to this idea as a user's mental map of it. Now, this mental map is based on a combination of their past experiences and basically assumptions about how the system operates. What I have discovered is that people tend to navigate the mental maps that they imagine of a service unless the service effectively suggests to them to do so otherwise. And the mismatch happens, the problem arises when there is a mismatch in how users are thinking the service should be used and how the service was intended to be used. And you know what? A lot of organizations believe that they have found the answer to this. It shouldn't be that hard, right? It's fairly simple. Create an instruction manual and just tell users what to do at every single step of the way until they eventually, hopefully, would reach their goal. But we know it's not that simple. The truth is, the way services are designed is to suit the needs of an organization. And so services and organization providers tend to overlook what their customers and users actually need or what their mental maps and expectations are. To ensure that we don't design a service that is not intuitive to the users, or to ensure that we don't dictate the service to the user, we need to start considering the factors that contribute to their existing mental maps of it. And these mental maps are based on a combination of things. It's based on a combination of the cues that the service provides, along with equally important things like their past experiences, their habits, their cultural backgrounds, etc. So then if this is that important, how do we find out what these are? The answer, again, is pretty simple. We just need to start talking to the users. And I don't mean pushing out another market survey or looking up industry trends. I mean, go talk to them. Find out what are they trying to do. Find out what are they trying to achieve here. What are the ways that it could or is going wrong for them? What are the ways that it could go right? What are their fears, their worries with the service? What do they believe to be true about it? Why do they interact with it in a certain way? Find out. Find out what good looks like. Find out what better might look like. There is an opportunity for transport service providers in Vienna to try and understand how newcomers and tourists might navigate their system. They can either help users adapt to the service by influencing their behavior, or they could adapt the service to meet users' expectations. For example, their ticket vending machine might just tell you that you need to get your tickets stamped before you board the train. And note that I use the word stamped and not validate. You will slowly start to realize that there are so many things that make up a service, including the language it uses, the visuals, the interfaces, the spaces, all of it and everything in between. And all of these become factors that dictate the affordance of a service. As I come to the end of my talk, I would like you to think about the last time that you used customer service for something. Even without knowing what it was for, I can tell it was a pretty bad experience, wasn't it? I see a few nods there. Whenever I've been frustrated with a bad service, there's always someone around me who says, Disha, don't worry. This is just how the world works. This is just how these things are. But do services actually have to be bad? Services don't have to fail, be frustrating, time-consuming, overly bureaucratic, or complex. By understanding who the user is, engaging with them to uncover their needs, and considering their mental maps, we can design better services with intention and care. We can move towards a future where frustrations are minimized. It starts with understanding, empathy, and deliberate design. Thank you.